Madam President, I'm here with my colleague from the state of Alaska, Senator Sullivan. We've heard his comments, very strong support of the nomination of Joe Balash to be the Assistant Secretary of the Interior for Land and Minerals Management. And as he has indicated, he speaks as one who has great insight and knowledge, having worked with Mr. Balash for a period of years. And as we think about those who are willing to step up and serve in this new administration, I think it is particularly telling that when we have personal knowledge, when we have had these relationships, when we know intimately of a person's work ethic, of their dedication to issues, as their willingness to serve, that we pay particular attention to that. I, too, stand in strong support of Joe Balash for this position, and I thank the Secretary of the Interior for placing his trust, placing his confidence in Mr. Balash to serve on his team there at the Department of the Interior. You not only have an individual that knows intimately the subject area to which he has been appointed. Joe is from a community by the name of North Pole. We're all thinking about the North Pole as we get closer to Christmas here. I would suggest that just being from Alaska is enough to convince me that he's qualified for this position. But honestly, the breadth and depth of his experiences, and again, his commitment, his care, his passion, his dedication for serving not only the people but the lands that we hold so dear is I think, a great tribute to Joe Balash. I've known and worked closely with him for years now, from the time that he was at the Department of Natural Resources with then Commissioner Sullivan, to the time that he has served as the Chief of Staff for Senator Sullivan. But both of those jobs have allowed Mr. Balash to demonstrate time and time again his competence, his expertise on a wide range of issues, but particularly the stewardship of our public lands. And we had an opportunity while in the Energy and Natural Resources Committee to listen to a little bit of his background, his upbringing, and how he became so personally involved and intertwined with our public lands. And then you think about the role that he played when he was at the state as Commissioner of Natural Resources. He had direct responsibility and management and protection of 101 million acres of the state of Alaska. This is larger than the entire state of California, 101 million acres. He also had control of a state park system containing 3.3 million acres of land, more than twice the size of Delaware. So he's used to dealing with lots of area of land and the complicated and complex issues that are associated with him. He genuinely understands how we can develop our natural resources while protecting the environment and sustaining the health of wildlife and ecosystems. He is able to balance. He is able to understand people. He is able, as he has demonstrated as a manager, managing land, managing energy, minerals, timber, water, and renewable energies in a state as diverse as Alaska. And in our state, I'm sure that Senator Sullivan has noted this, we have a constitutional mandate. It's written into our state's constitution that we manage lands for the maximum benefit of our people. And that means working with folks from all different sorts of backgrounds. You don't get to pick and choose, but we've all got our opinion, many competing points of views, and Joe was able to do that and do that well. And it's not easy to navigate. But I think Joe Balash has proven time and time again that he's capable and he's willing to work with everyone, whether they are hunters, whether they are tribes, whether they're in the environmental community, the conservation community. His ability to work with folks from all sides has been proven. And now he's ready to take this next step. to take it up a notch to the broader federal level. And I believe that he will make an exemplary Assistant Secretary, not just for those of us from Alaska, but for our entire country. He'll oversee the Bureau of Land Management, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, the Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement, and the Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement. He will largely be the department's point person for the management of our nation's working lands, those lands that are not reserved for conservation purposes. And it will be his responsibility to strengthen our energy and our mineral security for generations to come. And there's no doubt in my mind, but that he's the right person to take this on. He's, I mentioned he's from North Pole, okay, but he was a two-time state champion, wrestling champion. That takes a little bit of discipline. I think he will be well-suited and will be an able partner with Secretary Zinke, but really an advocate for the American people. He's proven that he's got the work ethic to produce the value that Americans need and deserve from their public lands. And I know that the management, his management of the department's assets, whether it's promoting responsible energy development or ensuring access to federal lands for sportsmen's activities, will be carried out with a dedication to transparency, to accountability, and to results. And on the sportsman side, I do understand that he is an accomplished buck hunter, and we recognize him for that. Mr. Balash was considered by those of us—
Time has expired.
Unanimous consent, Madam President, for 2 more minutes.
Without objection.
Thank you. Mr. Balash was considered by those of us on the Energy Committee at a hearing in early September. He was reported out 2 weeks later with strong bipartisan support. He has done everything that members on both sides of the aisle have asked him to do. He's waited patiently over the course of nearly 3 months as we seek to confirm him. Now, it was just mentioned by the ranking member that she has concerns about his ability and the recusal process. Madam President, it was made very clear in committee to questions to Mr. Balash, as well as the follow-on with questions for the record about some of the issues that Senator Cantwell has raised. And I think it's important to note that he pledged, Mr. Balash pledged very clearly to consult with and follow the Council of Agency Ethics Office. He did that in committee, in statement. He provided the same response in his QFRs. He says, I will consult with the department's designated agency ethics official regarding this matter and fully comply with the ethics rules of the agency. So, Madam President, these are issues that have been asked, they have been answered, certainly to the satisfaction of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee and to this chairman and to those who reported favorably on him from the committee. So we are at that point where the Senate is now asked to confirm Mr. Balash. I wish it had come a little bit earlier, but we are here where we are. I, again, thank the Secretary for nominating Joe Balash for this very, very important and key role at the Department of Interior. I thank Joe for being willing to continue his service to our nation. I join Senator Sullivan and a lot of Alaskans in being tremendously proud of him. And I would urge all members to support Mr. Balash's nomination to be our next Assistant Secretary of the Interior for Land and Minerals Management. With that, I yield back all debate time and ask for the yeas and nays.